Oh man, so you guys are like actually a thing now, huh?
We're actually a thing.
That's hot.
Welcome back, Cryptopians. Today we're going to talk about the relationship experience with Steetoh. Now, let's get right into the action. Okay, relationships. I'm not really going to go too full in depth on all this, but I'm just going to get on my personal things that I've experienced and just get a few things out of the way. Now, I'm not making this video to bash on anyone, and if it does a little bit, I'm sorry that is to happen, but this is just me unedited, and my script was, blah, whatever. Just gonna start from the beginning. Okay, I dated, other than, like, middle school stuff, where, you know, occasional kissing, and stupid stuff like that. I'm not gonna include any of that. I'm only gonna include my two most recent ones, and that's just because they've been in my life when I'm a little bit more mature. At least this is the most mature I am right now, just because this is the oldest I am, technically, that I'm making this. Because right now is the oldest I've ever been in my life, and every single second, that is very true. Anyway, let's talk about who I call my big X, and who I am still in contact with because they go to my school. Now, originally, we met up at band camp. Yes, it's one of those stories, right? Band camp, first day, oh my god. No, I'm just kidding. But we obviously knew there was something there. And let's just name this person Yomamma for, you know, reasons to not disclose who they are. So, Yomamma, she was one of those girls who's like, you know, seems a little too outgoing. Especially for someone like me, even though I'm not saying I'm not outgoing. I'm an ambivert, if you know what that means, but whatever. And, it just seemed kind of weird. And I could tell that she liked me back, just because of the way she was trying to make me to talk and stuff, because sometimes, you know, I don't really want to talk, because when I have nothing to talk about, when it's like a big group of people I don't really quite know on day one or whatever. But then, eventually, at the end of the camp, got the phone number, and then it just continued from there. And I mean, it's an experience I'm not going to ever let go of. I'm going to always remember it forever. And, I mean, it's not like I'm ever gonna forget them or not give a crap about them anymore. But from then, it just kind of moved at a steady pace. I mean, she lived, since, you know, we met up at band camp, obviously there's gonna be complications after that, because why wouldn't we have met up before? She lived about like a 40-minute drive from me. So it's kind of a long distance in a way, because we'd only see each other on the weekend for like a whole day or two. But when we did see each other, it was like every weekend, and it was for a long time. And about like a year later, when I was 15, in the middle of the summer, that's when I lost my virginity. And it was in a parking lot of a church. Now, and in the middle of the summer, I don't know if I already said that, but I mean, you sin, and God forgives. It's okay. But it kind of just continued on from there. And I'm not going into detail into anything. It's just that, you know, eventually there was a point that I reached where I didn't feel like there was anything going for us other than we were meeting up. It was just like a hookup every week. And then eventually she started going to my school, as her senior year is right now, currently. And this is the second year into the relationship. And this is when I really knew that there was not too much left. Just because there was another person who had kind of entered my life in the middle of the summer. And so it's kind of technically cheating in a way, but at the same time, it wasn't. Just because there wasn't anything really there, it was just flirting in a way. And that's what it only could have stayed anyway, because they're an online person, and this is where I kind of, not like I messed up, but it's like an experience that I feel I didn't really want to go through, even though I have learned things from it, but at the same time I kind of regret it. But I mean, eventually I'm not going to regret it anymore, knowing that it has changed me in a good way. But there's another person who, for sake of anonymity, we're going to call Jumblebum. Okay? Now, Jumblebum, she's like, you know, the perfect girl. That's what you'd assume. Because, you know, you meet them on something that you're very, very, like, well known for, or what you really enjoy doing. And now you guys have this shared interest that's, like, really strong compared to any other shared interest you have with Yomamma. Now, with Yomamma, I've just been with her for such a long time that it's like, you know, it's just easy going. We can just do whatever. You know, I can ask for, you know, almost anything and get whatever I want. And, that could be abused at some point, but, I mean, it wasn't, because I don't want to put someone through that. That's just dumb. I'm not going to use them as a body or anything. And that's why I eventually ended it with them, because I knew it wasn't like, I didn't feel a connection, I wasn't fighting for our love, I was just running through it as if the water was taking me with it. Now with Jumblebum, I believe we were calling her, it was the middle of the summer when we ended up meeting online. We never actually got to meet, but that's okay, because it was an experience to learn from. And now, I was never one to, like, be like, oh, hey, I'll try online dating. No, I was, from the get-go, when I was talking to this person, I'm like, no, I can never do that. That's messed up. I'll lose credibility, I'll, you know, talk to her too much, and then, you know, lose sense of reality. And no, I'm not gonna say I didn't lose any sense of reality, because I totally did. Totally fell too hard. But, especially for it to be another, leading cause to leaving Yomamma. And so it was basically, I found Jumblebum, who was like the perfect person, just because, I mean, to be honest, everybody, there's always someone who's more physically beautiful than another person, but this person in particular was already pretty goddamn perfect in that sense. I mean, unless you like certain aspects of people, then I'd say it was pretty good. Other than that, it's more mental beauty that really matters. And that's where it kind of grew from, just because we would just talk. And just talking was like a great connection. We never even got to meet. It was talking to the connection where it was like, Jumblebum really makes me feel like a weird feeling through fucking cyberspace, if that's even possible. And so, from then on, talking on TeamSpeaks and stuff with people going like, wow, they're kind of talking a little intimately and shit like that. It just kind of ended up being like that. And I remember the number one thing that had made me change my mind, well, not really change my mind, but close things off with Yomamma faster, is one day I was with one of my best friends who is on TeamSpeak for, like, he rarely ever is. And, you know, I know him in real life and everything, and I'm gonna call him Joe, but, I mean, he's not gonna be in the story any more than this, probably. But, Joe, for sake of anonymity, was in the TeamSpeak with Jumblebum and I, and eventually he asked, what is this? Because at the time he knew I was with Yomamma. And Jumblebum's like, it's an affair. And it was like very blatant. And then my own mind, I was like, what? And then I kind of felt like that had truth to it. And that's when I was a little bit scared with the current relationship I was with Yomamma was at risk. And I mean, it was. It ended up ending, okay? And I tried to end it in the best way possible. That might be another story of that whole situation. Like, her herself should be like at least 4 videos if I ever decide to continue with that. Anyway, when that ended, I just continued to talk to Jumblebum on Facetime like every single day. And then so there was more of like a face connection, like it felt more real, but at the same time I kind of knew that not having any physical attribution or any close distance commitment, just because knowing them or having them in your real life would really ground them to you. Since that wasn't there, I knew it was kind of probably inevitable to not keep going. But from then on, it was a great experience from there. We'd help each other with homework and stupid shit like that. They would sometimes ask for math help, but I mean, I've always had people doing that, even with Yomamma. She would always want my help too. I don't know, from then it was pretty positive. Other than recently, which I'm not gonna quite get into because that doesn't need to be very public, at least in my eyes. But eventually we decided on 11/11, because that was our like little thing we'd do is at 11/11 Snapchat each other like a heart and have the time, you know how you have that filter for the time. And then eventually I asked if we'd be official on 11/11, which was about a week after I thought of it, and I just did that on purpose just to have the date because I fucking loved it because of that thing of the wish or whatever to eventually meet or anything. And then eventually, I mean, with Jumblebum, it was like, okay, well, communication got weird. I don't feel like it was very miscommunication or not communicating. It was just that the imagined connection that I was indoctrinated to feel from other people and from what Jumblebum was starting to message me, when I decided to take the step and reciprocate those feelings, I feel like it eventually was like became a mirror where you looked at yourself for too long and eventually you just couldn't keep your eyes open. And so, but in this analogy, the one looking at you closes their eyes first. That's what it felt like for me. I don't know if that makes any sense for you guys, but it really just felt like I didn't really do anything and I put way too much hope into something that was probably not going to be real anyway. And that's kind of like a big thing to me, is to have that false hope thing. I mean, it's good to have hope for stuff, especially if it's possible. Like, technically, anything's really possible, especially with, you know, having a license and having money to fly and shit like that. But at the same time, if you're in a relationship where it feels like one of you isn't fighting for it anymore, or the love's not being reciprocated, then you need to talk things out as soon as possible, so that way you don't continue to think everything's okay, and vice versa. Which has been the mistake with both Yomamma and Jumblebum. First, Yomamma was my fault, and I will own up to that, and I was a douchebag, and I let the love continue when it wasn't there. But she gave it all to me, and I gave nothing back, or well, I gave little back for the last few months of the relationship. And then with Jumblebum, it felt a little bit the other way around, but of course, it didn't even last like 2 full months being technically together, even though we'd known each other for, I don't know, about half a year, I guess. But when that reciprocated love on either side is not being reflected in the way that you would like it to be, or that it once was, it needs to be taken care of, other than, you know, finding someone else right away and doing that sort of thing, or having somewhat of an affair type thing. That's just petty game. So in the end, just remember, if you take anything from this, you don't have to take anything from me, because I'm still a learning and living human being like you, is that only fight for something that will fight back for you. Never choose a fight that will never fight for you. As in, if there's someone, like the person you crush on the most, which, in all honesty, was Jumblebum, I would have to say, and you like give everything for them, and then eventually the light switch is turned off, then something has to be done. I don't know. I tried to conclude this better and wrap it all up in a little gift, but I'll just tell you, Yomamma was pretty cool. Lost my virginity to them. Vice versa. That was an experience. I was 15. I could at least say that. But at the same time, if you're still a virgin, no matter what age you are, that's still fine. Everything is fine. Everything is subject to your own decision. And as for Jumble Bum, that was okay. The experience was okay, except for the proportion of the time with her feels outweighed by how much pain was caused near the end. Because it felt like, you know, about a month of bad communication or bad pain kind of ruined the rest of it for me. As with, other than with Yomamma, it was like just the last little bit, even though it was a longer period, it was more insignificant since the whole relationship span was a lot longer. But that's just to emphasize that it's easier to get things through if things are feeling wrong early on. I mean, that's simple, but it's hard to put into your own mind if that's where you're at in a relationship, because all you want is it to work out, even if you don't want the relationship. Usually, if you actually felt love for them or actually felt something true, you would feel that even if it's not working out and you're not fighting for it, that you'd still want it to end in like a nice way or still try to keep it going, other than just ending. Yeah. Don't mess around. Also, for e-dating, I don't know, it can work. Just be careful. I know I'm not going to be doing it again just because I know it's so much easier to just talk to that one girl you're crushing on, hit her up, become good friends, and then boom, continue from there. It's so much easier, so much more relaxing than not knowing. Anyway, Cryptopians, thank you for listening in to my long rant. Sorry I kept this going. Wow. But yeah, thank you. Goodbye. By the way, Jumble Bum and Yomamma, I did love you guys. At the same time, you're gone.